Welcome to the 16th season of the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel includes Neil Riddell of the Altoona Mirror, Mark Brennan of FightOnState.com, Sports Director Casey Kantz of WTAJ Sports, and a special guest analyst each week. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
All right, welcome inside another edition of the NitWits. The whole gang is here again. Casey Kantz, joined by the gang of Neil Riddell, Mark Brennan, Mike Irwin back with us. Mike, how you been?
Good. It's good to be back.
Good to be back. Indeed, it's nice to have you back. Penn State playing in their third overtime game at home this year. Unlike the first two, though, guys, they're on the short end on Saturday, coming up 23-20 losers to Nebraska. Kind of one of those games, could have went either way at times. What did you see, Neil? We'll start with you on Saturday.
Well, I mean, I think it was a really big special teams collapse, number one. And when you look, you referenced 3 overtime games this year, and I think 4 out of the last 5 Big Ten home games have been overtime games. Mm-hmm. There's just, that indicates there's no real margin for error. And how even they are, they can play competitively at home. I thought it was a very entertaining game. They laid it all out there. But they just don't have that much margin for error that they can make those kind of special teams mistakes.
Yeah, you know, I know sometimes we put a lot of more weight on things that happened recently, but I'm really struggling to think of a game where they played worse overall on special teams. Mm-hmm. I mean, it broke down in almost every single area, and they just can't afford to do that against the better teams on their schedule. You know, and this coaching staff may say some things about, well, you know, there are a lot of run-ons out there. But, you know, that's true. But you also have guys like Ficken, who's a scholarship guy. Butterworth bobbles a punt and has it blocked. So this isn't all about run-ons. This is just some really bad execution in areas.
Mike, a second straight week, the Penn State special teams unit allows a kickoff return for a touchdown. It didn't bite them against Purdue. It probably could have, but it really, especially after you get a touchdown like you did on Saturday in a game as close as this one was, the 99-yard kickoff return to Kenny Bell was huge.
You know, you look at it as a special team day, but it was also a special day for the team. You know, I mean,
wow,
that's good.
Oh,
I've been thinking about that for a while.
Wow, that's a good one.
Be a headline, right?
That's deep.
But no, really, it's senior day, and all these kids are out there for the last time. And what I think about when I first think about that game yesterday is what the 4 years have meant to these seniors that are leaving down there. Because I don't think there's a team in the country that has a stronger letterman or fraternity, more focused. Even the fans, the coaching staff, all stick together. I mean, it was a bad loss, and we had all kind of opportunities. But I'm still amazed at how everybody kind of sticks together and supports one another, and especially the team. Now, I thought like the special teams, and I know we've talked about some of the personnel on special teams, and probably get into a conversation about, are they playing the best guys in the positions? Should they play the best people available to return kicks, or do you go with some walk-on to get them time in there? And I think that's where they make a mistake at times.
And they're not, I mean, overall, if you look at the numbers this year, the special teams unit has been an issue. They're not getting much on returns, and they're really, I think they're giving up around 36 yards per kick right now, which is also not good. The 2 kickoff returns for touchdown doesn't help that, obviously, but Do you think it's what Mark's saying? Is it the run-ons? Is it the lack of depth that's hurting them, the speed?
Well, I mean, not to mention too many names, but I mean, you look at the return man on the kickoff. I mean, now Geno Lewis, I think, is legit, but then Vaughn Walker's a
Vaughn
run-on.
Walker's been out the last 2 games.
Yeah, he got hurt,
Lynch
and
was
I
in
think
there.
they
Lynch,
Akil
Della
Lynch
Valle.
is in
they
there
had
as
Lynch,
a
and then they had Garrity's son that was a walk-on.
Yes, yeah.
at,
Craig Garrity,
the other Garrett. But I'm saying, like, you look at the Steelers. I mean, not that here's Antonio Brown playing split end
Yeah.
and running back kicks. I mean,
Okay, you've given us a lot
Here,
to digest here. Let me respond to one
Okay.
thing, and I think it is worth pointing. I don't think we should lose sight of, these seniors. They stuck together. They may not even have a team these last couple
Sure,
of years.
yeah.
Had they, and you're standing on the field down there, and it is freezing, and you still look at the atmosphere and the passion that is still there. I think kind of trumps whether they win or lose. But we're here to dissect the game, and they took the same route on the kickoff return that they did against Purdue.
Oh,
and Bill
yeah,
O'Brien
yeah.
said that they thought about changing personnel, maybe, and then they decided not to do that. But now now it's been 2 in a row.
Well, and that's the other thing is nobody's questioning the heart of this team. Nobody is
No.
ever. At least nobody I think that's sane is doing it because they realize what these guys have gone through. But when you look at that kick coverage unit, as I counted, there were 5 scholarship guys out there. And you used to have some other guys on the bench who really aren't playing a lot. I mean, Obang is not playing a lot. He was not out there. There were some guys that maybe you could plug out there. And I think, listen, when it comes down to do you want to win these games, maybe you can't afford to have as many run-ons trying to cover these elite athletes as they're doing right now.
Yeah, because there's Bell. I mean, he's all over the field for Nebraska.
Yeah, Malik Golden wasn't out there
Right,
for this one. Everybody wants to talk about Alex Kenny. What about Alex Kenny? This is a guy who played defensive back early in his career. At least get his speed out there to do something covering kicks, and that's the part of it that I think we can be fairly critical. That just because they're going through tough times doesn't mean we can't be a little bit critical now.
Of course, it also renews the biannual call for a special teams coach.
I know.
A quick thought on Sam Ficken, if we can, as well, because he took a lot of heat. If you follow on Twitter, of course, here we go again with all the Sam Ficken haters out there, which I think is absolutely ridiculous when you read some of those comments. But is he a kid that, I mean, he had a great stretch this year, obviously earlier in the year, and now we've seen some ups and downs again. Is he a kid that, do you think they'll ever get over that Week 2 game last year against Virginia? Is he ever going to win in the eyes
well,
of
I don't
fans
think they
here?
should be blaming Sam Ficken for their performance. We had all kind of opportunities
Right. That's what I
yesterday
mean.
to win that game, and Sam Ficken just happened to be involved and missed the extra point, and he missed the field goal. But that game wasn't won or lost on those couple kicks. I mean, we had all kind of opportunities to cash in, and we didn't. One of the biggest plays I thought really hurt was when they had 3rd and long at the 1-yard line in the fourth quarter with about a minute and a half to go. And they let the guy throw it. They got the pass interference call on the sideline.
Oh,
but
yeah, and Lucas.
I would
yeah.
say in the old days, you would have seen Penn State's defense at least put some pressure on that guy, maybe get a safety, but you never let him come out of there with that
Yeah.
play and let him come out and get a first down on that play. I thought that was sort of makes the defenses very passive. They're not really aggressive up front.
I thought the defense played its best game of the year yesterday.
Yep, I agree.
And I think they're on a better stretch than they've been. They got a first-year coordinator. They've averaged now 21 points a game in 4 games. They only have three defensive touchdowns in 10 quarters. So I think they are making some improvement. When you look at who they lose this year, I think there's a lot left for them to carry over to next year. But
well, I'm
point
just saying,
taken.
I know
They-
you're
they-
defending the defense.
Well, they let them out of the hole. You're right. I mean,
But they're very passive, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think Nebraska's quarterback was as good as some of the other quarterbacks they faced this year, and that might have been the reason the defense played better, because there were a lot of passes. The guys were open, but they were underthrown, hitting the ground before they caught them. So, I mean, I'm not sure it was the defense or the lack of offense as far as Nebraska.
Let's hold the thought on the defense, because we're going to talk about that for a whole block coming up. We got to step out and take a break, though. We will talk about the defense and their effort on Saturday. It's coming up next. You're watching the NitWits. Stay with us.
The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental.
I'm Malcolm Willis from the Penn State Nittany Lions, and you're watching the NitWits.
Thought Malcolm had a good game, senior day for.
Well, let's
for
let
him.
Mike blast him too now.
No, I thought he played pretty well. Let me
Who
blast-
didn't play
let me-
well?
I
Oh my
am
God.
into the
The
blasting
defense
mood,
allows-
though.
the defense
I'm into
allows
the
one
blasting mood.
touchdown.
But the other thing, those defensive linemen aren't getting rid of their blockers either. I mean, those guys. How many times have we been beaten outside this year? And how many times can we continue to get beat outside?
One
And guys
touchdown.
sleeping
Mike,
there.
I think
3 of 17 on third
I
down.
realize
two
you
field- one
haven't
touchdown,
been
two
here
field
for a
goals in
couple
regulation.
weeks.
But I don't think they put a lot of pressure on these quarterbacks. They let them stand back there and throw the ball. Guys are wide open down the field, and he's giving defense credit like they're the best.
They
I didn't
deserve
They played a
credit.
decent game, but they're not that good. if you ask
decent
me.
game.
Of the 3 units, Mike, they played the best of the 3 units yesterday.
You're giving them they gave up 1 touchdown and 2 field goals in regulation. You're giving them no credit for coming through with big
No, I mean,
turnovers down at the goal line.
No, but
denied
Abdullah
them
makes that run if they don't get the bad
If.
block. I mean,
If,
he
if
scores a
Jordan
touchdown
Lucas
on
isn't
it.
called for a bad personal
I don't think
PI.
Nebraska has that good offense. I mean, I think that contributed to
well,
is what I'm
they
saying.
That's a fair-
Abdullah.
I mean,
You knew what he was
there
going
a
to
worse
bring?
quarterback they played against this year than the guy from Nebraska
Okay.
yesterday?
Abdullah, though, back to your point on him. He's the best running back that they've faced this year. David Cobb in Minnesota was the other one. But they held him to 140 yards or whatever it was. It's almost one of those situations you're going to expect them to do that.
Mike,
I
I
think
guess
they had
I-
one big play.
I guess I roll back to the old days when they wouldn't give up 20 or 30 points
the
a
old
game.
days.
The old days.
Right.
Most of the time they would give 2 touchdowns a game
How
or
many
something
points
like
did
that.
you expect them to give up in that game, Mike?
Well,
That's what I would ask you.
I mean, I just thought
Did you seriously think that the defense would give up only 13 points in regulation?
Well, I don't
in
think
game?
that Nebraska team's that good, I guess is my point. They're part of the point that I'm making. Because I just watched that team all year long, and I
So
don't
you're
think
not
the
from the
defensive
school?
line is getting rid of the blockers quick enough. I mean, Jones is a senior.
Okay, Mike, they're not that good, but look at the state of where Penn State is right now. I think you have to factor a lot of this stuff into the equation. This Kellogg kid comes off the bench in the wind on the road. And, I mean, that to me is a great win at least for him.
And he also made a clutch play against Northwestern. I mean, there was a coach who used to say sometimes you have to give the other guy credit, Mike. You're giving these guys no credit whatsoever. I think, to me, that's unfair. I think the defense played its best game of the year, came through with big turnovers. If you would have told anybody going into that game that the defense would allow 13 points in regulation, I think anybody would have taken that.
Well, I don't want to belabor the point, but I mean that's
But I
their
will.
number. But I will. That's the third quarterback. That's their number 3 quarterback that's in there, and I agree. Special teams was the biggest drawback, but I'm just saying I'm not that impressed with what the defense.
I can't wait till you
did.
start ripping the offense.
We'll talk about that in a bit. From
We'll
a
get
wide
into that.
scope, look at a guy like C.J. Olanian, for example. I mean, we've talked about him all year, a guy that basically came out of nowhere, had a huge play yesterday, forcing a fumble and recovering it. What are your thoughts on him?
So you're saying, holding
At
a
a
guy
big-
to
at-
148 yards is good.
I didn't say good.
When
I
was
thought
the last time?
you expect it. He's going to do that basically every week. It's not like you're going to hold him to under 100 yards. It's really not.
Willis overran that play a little bit. Penn State was very fortunate, I thought, on a really bad call because the touchdown was already scored and a guy hit Amos. I mean, that was the worst officiating call of the game. So Penn State was fortunate to even get that call.
My point, you never want to give up that many yards. I'm not saying that. I'm just
What's
saying.
the next topic?
Yeah, I think we need to take a break to kind of digest everything we're talking about. We will talk a little bit about the offense. I can't wait to get your thoughts on
I'm
that.
stepping back.
I can't, this is
no.
when we need you to come
stir
in.
up the pot
This
a
is
little
the
bit.
problem.
but-
When he's not here every week, he's got a lot to say.
My goodness.
Well, I don't get enough to say other times that we have.
We
this
got to get
program,
Gail
but-
to listen to you.
Let's step out and take another break. We're also going to talk about that senior class. We mentioned a little bit in the first block. We'll talk a little bit more about it coming up next.
The NitWits are brought to you by the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal.
All right, welcome back to the NitWits, guys. We saw some good from the. You're still laughing about the last segment, aren't you? that defense was. Let's
Hey, I'm quiet from here on in.
This
buddy.
is
I'm
when
not
we
saying
can.
another
We
word.
need you to
I mean,
speak
Welcome
up.
back to the Nitwits. Mike is still here.
Welcome back to Mike Irwin and the Nitwits.
There's like an empty chair where Mike has has left us. No, but we do want to talk about the offense a little bit. We saw some good. We saw some mediocre, I guess. Zach Swinak, another 100-yard effort for him. We found out after the game Bill Belton has a little bit of strep throat and a banged-up shoulder. But Christian Hackenberg as well, counted for 3 touchdowns. But there were some drops at some key points, Mark, and especially in overtime. Maybe the play calling a little bit, well, I'm not going to say conservative. I know Bill O'Brien doesn't like that term. But
I mean, as critical as Mike has been of the defense, I think there is room for criticism of the offense in that you had some of your key players. Allen Robinson, as great as he's been, dropped the catchable one.
Yep.
Kyle Carter dropped one. These are guys who usually aren't making those mistakes. I think there were 4 or 5 drops in that game. But I got to tell you this, that offensive line, to me, wow, have they come together, and they played more than well enough to win. They gave Hackenberg all day to throw. He was only sacked once, did a great job with the running game. So I don't think the offense was the reason they lost that game. I think there were some areas where they could have been a little bit better. But I'll go back to the special teams over and over again. That outweighed everything.
Well, the drops, as you mentioned, but you look at that game, and you frigid temperatures. You're going to have. It's going to be difficult to hang on to the ball. I would roll back. I'd be curious when it's 20-17, and I think that's when Penn State kind of had Nebraska on their heels. And Zwinak had gained 20 yards in 3 straight runs, and they went to the pass twice, 2nd and 5 at the Penn State 45, and I think had they banged Zwinak another couple times there, because that's when Robinson missed the ball on 3rd down, even though it was a perfect throw. I think they got away from the run just on that one series, and I wonder how the game might have turned had they stuck with the run on 2nd down.
And I'll say this, and to back Neil, Team Altoona Mirror was talking about that as the game was going on, weren't you? I mean, you guys were discussing that.
I just think at that point the offensive line had sort of taken over the game, kind of like they did in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Mike?
Well, no, I think that was the game plan. I mean, to give that offensive line the opportunity. And I agree with Mark. They have played much better lately, and I think they wanted to put Zwinak on their back and drive the ball down there, which I'm not saying I agree probably the way they should have gone, throwing the ball, but or running the ball, but yet he became more conservative as as the season has gone on. I think O'Brien has become more conservative. I know the guy next to me was saying they're too conservative. Says Woody Hayes is back, running 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Well, you look at also they convert 2 for 13 on 3rd down, and they punt 11 times. So, as much as we think the offense did okay, those are some areas that you just usually don't win with those kind of
one other
numbers.
quick thing on the running game. In the first quarter, Zwinak had, 12 carries for 64 yards. Second quarter, he only had 2 for 4 yards. Now, he ends up with 35 carries. But I think what ended up hurting them there is without Belton, I don't think they have quite as much confidence in Akeel Lynch. I mean, obviously they don't. I don't know why, but they don't have that sort of confidence. I think they really could have kept that running game going in the second quarter. But again, the guy, Zwinak, what was he going to get? 48 carries? You had to give him a break at some point.
Exactly. How much more can you ask from him?
Right. Quickly, Mike, you talked about this a little bit in the first segment, but it was senior day, of course, on Saturday, and obviously the seniors would have liked a little bit of a better result at the end of the day. But where does this class rank for you when you
No, I think next to last year's class, they're right at the top of the heap because they went through the same thing last year's class did, whether they're going to stay, whether they're going to leave the program. You have to give these kids a lot of credit. They all stuck it out, or for the most part, they all stuck it out. And they were on a good team last year, and it's unfortunate because I don't know how many games we could have or should have won this year that we didn't win. Now, we're probably going to end up 500, but, I think we had the opportunity to have a really good year, and I think a couple good plays here and there, and we would have been in that position.
Well, they also, a couple of those games they won, they also lost, Illinois and Michigan. So I think you can go both ways on that.
I want to mention, too, we are going to talk more about the seniors, our senior, our wrap-up show, our season wrap-up show. We're going to have one of those following the Wisconsin game. Actually, following the wrap-up show to the Wisconsin game, we're going to, December 10th, right, for a season wrap-up show?
It's going to air the 8th. It's a Sunday.
See,
Unless you talk the station into a special Wednesday night prime time
special
hour.
December 10th.
We have to get Amy back in here.
I know. We got to take a break, though. Wisconsin's up next, a trip to Madison. Next week, we're going to have our picks for you coming up next.
The NitWits are brought to you by The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
I'm Stephon Morris from your Nittany Lions, and Mark Brennan is the biggest nitwit I know.
Steph Morris, I love him. I knew him since he was in camps doing stuff in high school. He's just a great personality, great kid.
While we've got the one shot on Mark Brennan, Wisconsin up next. Why don't you go ahead with your pick?
Yeah, listen, I think it's going to be a tough game for Penn State. I'm going to pick it Wisconsin 35, Penn State 14.
And no nitwit of the week this week. Neil, your pick for Wisconsin?
I'm going to say tough place up there. Wisconsin 38, Penn State 20.
Mike, about 30 seconds.
You know, this really is hard for me to do, but I don't see Penn State
Rarely
going out to
happens.
Camp Randall.
There's a tear in his eye.
I don't know. It's probably only happened once or twice, but I see
Roll back.
Wisconsin winning this game. I mean, 30-10. Now, unless Penn State comes out and surprises us somehow, but I don't think going into this game that they're going to beat them.
I've got Wisconsin 37-17. That will do it for this edition of the Nitwits. We'll be back with you again following the Wisconsin game. For Neil Riddell, Mark Brennan, Mike Irwin, our director Chris Owens, I'm Casey Cantz. We'll see you next week.
The Nitwits have been brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona, ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday. You can also see the Nitwits on AltoonaMirror.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.